Shalom, everyone. I quickly want to teach you the difference between sin and wickedness, because it also implies the difference between hostility and enmity. You see, when you put your affections on an object, that means that you automatically become hostile to anything that comes between you and that object. That's just an automatic consequence. Okay? For example, if you want things to be quiet, that's a desire you have, that means that you are hostile towards any sound that will hinder that quietness. If you're in a lecture listening and there's some noise from outside, you become hostile to that noise. Why? Because your affections is upon listening to whatever is in front of you. So hostility is basically your resistance against frustration. And now listen, people can have all kinds of goals and all kinds of affections. That doesn't mean that their affections are right. For example, a child molester can be hostile towards the police officers. Why? Because police officers are a hindrance to his affection. Does that mean that his affections are right? No. Why am I saying this? It's because we live in a time and age where individualism is promoted, which is basically a religion, and where the will of man is exalted above all else. You should always respect the will and the choices of everyone. Should never force anything down someone's throat. Acknowledge, you should always validate people's free will. That's what we are being taught. Even though free will does not exist, we have a will, an ability to choose, but that ability of choosing is not free. Only the Most High has free will. The only way to have real freedom is when you surrender your will unto the Most High, to receive power and options from Him. Nevertheless, I have explained hostility, and every sin is hostile, if you get what I'm saying here. Now let's go to wickedness. You see, when someone feels frustrated by a potential hindrance, they tend to act against a hindrance. Now, if the hindrance does not disappear, remember the hindrance can be imagined, it doesn't have to be a real hindrance. When the hindrance does not, when the hindrance does not disappear, people become obsessed with the hindrance, and and they become they forget they forget their original affection, and now it's all about the hindrance and fighting the hindrance. Now this is enmity, because beforehand you imagined that the object or the individual or the circumstance was a hindrance. You were hostile towards it. Now you've become obsessed with it, and now you have enmity. Now you imagine ill will from that individual or that circumstance or that thing. Well, the real truth is that you're the one with ill will. And that's wickedness. Now, so you have sin that has hostility in it anyway, and now you have wickedness that has an obsession to get rid of an obstacle. Now just think about this. Just think about this. Okay? Let's say you are let's say you're in a mall in a foreign country, and some of the people, they they look at you ugly, and you think, what's going on? Now now when you go down to it, those people, they're not used to having foreigners around, so you don't match their preconditioned expectations, and because of that, they are hostile towards you. Does that have anything to do with you? It has everything to do with them. So they're the ones that need to repent. So some of them, because they're hostile, they will try to get rid of you over there just so that they can feel comfortable with their preconditioned expectations. Let's say you leave, but after you, 10 other foreigners come, and the police makes clear that they are not allowed to bother those foreigners. Now, the police is a hindrance to them getting what they want. They may develop an obsession, a negative obsession. I'm saying every obsession is negative. They may develop an obsession against the police or against people speaking out the truth, and now they want They totally forget about their original affection because it's frustrated, and now they want to take out their frustration against the hindrance. That's wickedness. That's not sin anymore. It has become wickedness. You understand? You're trying to get where I'm going? Now, see it like this. All human beings were born in sin. So we were all hostile towards the Most High because of our self centeredness and our tendency to center everything around ourselves. And Jesus, and through life experience, we realize we have to adapt from time to time and cover up our self centeredness. Then Jesus comes along and he makes clear, repent, surrender yourself. He makes clear, I'm God, I'm the Most High, you're not, you're mine, I'm the owner of the earth, you're only here because I permit you to be. He commands us to surrender to reality. Now, we are hostile to that. So we fight. And our resistance proves that we are sinners, that we are defect, that we are in a fallen state. And to those that surrender, they become born again and they have new life and they develop into the image of Christ. Those that persist in self centeredness, they become wicked. So you have a sinner and you have a wicked. They're not the same. A wicked is a human being that persists in unreality. I'm not sure if that's a word, but they persist against reality. And it becomes, sooner or later, it becomes that they are so obsessed again against the Most High that their whole lives is all about defying the Most High and fighting against the Most High. And they do that by basically destroying themselves and destroying all people around them. And by taking out their anger against the people of God that do agree with Christ. So you have hostility turned into enmity, sin turning into wickedness. And now listen to me, folks, listen to me. If you agree with a wicked statement, then you are inviting victimization. You are inviting danger. That's why, as I made clear before, make sure that you are fully in agreement with Christ. Don't be in agreement with the wicked and nor be in agreement with the sinner. Be in agreement with Christ. That being said, you all be blessed.